Beautiful Wednesday afternoon, and you're all choosing to be here with us in this WebEx seminar. So thank you. We've got a really special guest from Accor Hotels, Sally Morris, here to talk to you today about all the different careers and opportunities for students in the visitor economy and the hospitality and hotel industries. So I've just got a few things to run through before I hand over to Sally. And of course, we'd always like to start with a formal acknowledgement. So we respectfully acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. We pay our respects to elders past and present and emerging leaders who are following in the footsteps of those who came before, and we thank them for the opportunity to conduct CEAV business on their lands. As Mills said, the Department of Education and Training is funding the Industry Immersion Experience program, and it's for all eligible schools in years 7 to 10 in Victorian government schools, usually in remote and regional areas, and some low SES schools. So it's been a really great program, a really valuable program, and part of the program towards the end with the impacts of COVID, we've been able to open up these webinars to all schools from all sectors. So thank you for joining us today from whichever school sector you may be working in. As Amelia said, we'd like to formally thank the Department of Education and Training for allowing us to use the platform of Cisco WebEx to present today. So a little bit of background, if you haven't been to one of these webinars before, I'll quickly provide you with some information about the Industry Immersion Experience program. It was conceived in 2018 and rolled out to thousands of students across Victoria, giving young people a chance to gain insight and have hands-on experiences into 11 growth priority industry areas. Okay, so students are able to learn and understand about what opportunities are out there for young people. Due to COVID, obviously students were unable to go to excursions, so unable to visit these industry spaces, and Accor was one of our greatest supporters. We've had students going out to many different Accor hotels across Victoria this year, and also in 2019 and 2018. So it has been a great opportunity for young people to see what it's like working out in the hotel industry. But because of COVID, we have brought things online. So not only are we running webinars like you're attending today for career practitioners and educators, but also for young people and students. And tomorrow we have a student webinar for young people to learn this content that's really targeted at young people learning about careers in hotels, hospitality and visitor economy. In addition to that, we developed some online resources. So I'll provide you with some information on them a little later on, but it's an accompaniment to all of the webinars that we have run, which are also recorded, which you can access and look back on in the other industry areas as well. And these resources can be used in the classroom, and students can use them to do short activities, to watch videos about people working in different industry areas, and really to start getting them thinking about what it is they would like to do when they finish school. We hope that you will encourage your students to attend these webinars. As I said, we've got one tomorrow, which might be a little bit last minute, but you may also think, oh, I do have a student who's really into maybe vet hospitality or home ec, or maybe one of the other kind of business management that Sally will talk to you about later. You can just send them the link and then they can come along tomorrow, or they can watch one of these recordings later on. I would also encourage you to share these resources with relevant teaching staff in your school. So those teachers taking these subjects, like I've just mentioned, it would be really valuable for them to use them in classrooms with their students. All the resources are completely free. Okay, they're available via the CEAV website. There is no restrictions on who can download them or who can access them. So we encourage you to share them amongst your school colleagues. So what are you planning for today? So we're going to hear from Sally, as I said, from Accor Hotels. We're going to learn about the career opportunities available to young people in the visitor economy industry. A little bit of labour market information will be presented, because we know that's always really useful. Sally will discuss a few of the courses out there that are related to this industry and how students can make that step from school into maybe further study and then into the workforce. As I said, I'll guide you through using the online resources, which are an accompaniment to this webinar. And also we've got Steph from the Department of Education and Training here with us this afternoon, who will just talk you through using the My Career Portfolio platform for saving student resources and as an accompaniment to your career planning at school. As Amelia said, we've got the Q&A function and the chat box. So if you do have any questions along the way, feel free to type questions in the box, and I'll either stop Sally at an appropriate time and ask any questions, or at the end of the session we'll cover off anything you might ask. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand over to our special guest, Sally, and she's going to talk you through all the wonderful opportunities with Accor Hotels. Thank you, Sally.
Thank you, Jen, and the CEAV team and everyone else who's invited me to present today. It's very exciting. As Jen said earlier, Accor have played an active role in partnering with the CEAV for these annual industry immersion days, which is probably one of the funner parts of my job. I really enjoy. We hosted a bunch of students and educators into one of my hotels last year, and it was just a great day. Not only do the students get to see the hotels from a guest perspective, but we take them right through to the back of house areas, right into the kitchens. We get housekeeping team members to come and show them how they turn over a room. They can make a lunch in a restaurant and sit down and enjoy it. So I think it's great that, thank goodness for technology, that we're able to still provide the insight into the industry through these industry immersion days, just a bit of a different and virtual way. So quick background on myself. I am the Talent and Culture Manager at Accor Hotels in Melbourne. Talent and Culture meaning, I guess it's a more modern terminology for Human Resources Manager. I've been with the business for about 5 years, and along with all things related to HR or human resources, one of the major elements of my role is from the recruitment and retention perspective. So whether it's posting job ads on Seek, to interviews, to contracting and hiring, through to training and development and induction and career pathways, through to holding webinars and participating in career expos. That's a broad part of what I do. So it's really exciting to be here, and thank you very much for inviting me. Get you to click the next slide, Jen, if that's okay. So I guess starting off, what exactly is hospitality? Hospitality is just one sector of the overall travel and tourism industry, which largely includes hotels. And those hotels often encompass a wide variety of operations. So hotels aren't just accommodation, they're certainly the majority part of it, but it also includes residential, so what we refer to as long stays. So that would be hotel guests, or residents as we call them, who stay in a hotel from anywhere from 30 days to 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. Essentially they live at the hotel. So not often people realise that's a large part of hotels and accommodation as well. And then of course there's the food and beverage or restaurant and bars sector. Anyone who's stayed at a hotel would know that most of them would have a restaurant and a bar or two attached to the building. And then of course there's meetings, conferences and events, which again a majority of our hotels will have as part of the business. So whether it's just a small meeting room of 5 people for a couple of hours, to a 5-day conference, to a wedding, or training seminars, that's also a large part of the industry. So who is Accor? That's our logo you see there in the middle, and hopefully you've seen that around. But I guess Accor is the umbrella company or the parent company of a lot of hotel brands throughout the world. So we are the largest hotel chain in the world, and we operate 39 hotel brands. There's hotel brands, so ranging from 5-star luxury properties through to economy budget properties, and we have about 5,100 hotels worldwide, and that figure's always changing. We're always opening up new hotels. Even during the year 2020 in this COVID environment, we're still opening hotels. I'm actually going to help with the pre-opening of a hotel this week for a new CEAV that's opening up in Ringwood. So it's all still happening, and we operate in 110 countries around the world. And as of the financial reporting for 2018, we made approximately $5,870 million worth of revenue. So large operation, but we're far more than a world leader. We are 300,000 plus hospitality experts, so 300,000 plus team members that we have, placing people at the heart of what we do, nurturing real passion for service and achievement beyond limits. And we take care of millions of guests all over the world. And that's just just to give you an idea. So Accor being the parent company or the umbrella company that basically owns and operates all of these brands. These are most of our brands. Not all of them are in Australia, but you might recognise the likes of the Sofotels, the Pullman, Swiss Hotel, Peppers, the Mantras, Novotels, Mercures, Breakfree, the Ibis brands, M Galleries and Art Series. So chances are you've stayed at one or more, hopefully, and if you haven't, please do. And again, we have multiple properties under those brands operating in every state in Australia. So Ibis, for example, which is one of my properties, I'm based near the Queen Victoria Market. I can walk to the Ibis in Melbourne Central, and I can walk to the other Ibis on Melbourne Swanston Street. So now that I've said that, you're going to see the logos everywhere, and you'll notice them, but we are everywhere. So the home of great people and a great place to work. Why should our students consider a career in hospitality? Just get you to flip to the next slide, Jen. So our employee value proposition. So I guess this is just a bit of an incentive and enticements for the students to perhaps consider a career in hospitality. What makes us unique and appealing? At Accor, the difference is simply in how people feel when they are with us. We make people feel welcome and valued, feel connected and feel good. We make a difference together to our guests, to our team members and to our communities. We build careers, career paths and skills for life. We develop leaders, leaders of leaders, and thousands of amazing people who do remarkable things. We're one of the largest and fastest growing hotel companies in the world with the widest global reach and the broadest range of brands. If you crave growth, recognition and opportunity and love helping others grow, then at Accor, there's a path for you. And then we say thank you for choosing us. So Heartist is something we have internally at Accor. It's our philosophy, our customer service philosophy, I guess you could liken it to. It's like a customer service charter, but it really goes way beyond the traditional customer service goals and training that most businesses have. Heartist is specific only to Accor team members, and it was specifically designed by external experts for Accor. Heartist really is at the core of everything we do. And I guess to explain it to someone who's not in the business, it's basically an induction into the company, but not from a point of view where we're kind of talking about who is Accor and what do we do. It's more from that customer service philosophy and the art and the heart of human connection. And every single employee worldwide, not just in Australia, is required to attend the Heartist training on their very first day of work before they even go into their own hotel, into their own departmental roles. They come to whichever Heartist session is being held. We hold them weekly within a hotel in the cities, in the CBDs. And it's a great opportunity for the new team members to not actually go into their hotel and just be plonked into their job yet, but to actually sit through this Heartist induction and just learn it from day one and get to know and mingle with other colleagues from other properties who are also attending their first day with Accor. Next slide. And yeah, so if you didn't already guessed, the word heartist it's a made-up word, but it's not made up within Accor. It's very much it lived every day in real life, but it's a combination of the word heart plus artist. So being generous and coming from the heart, because at Accor Hotels we are experts in service. Right, so the home of great people and a great place to work. So we service this by talent development and learning, inclusion and diversity, compensation and benefits, engagement and community, attraction and retention, health and well-being, reward and recognition, work-life balance and environment. And how will we know when we have it right? We will have a reputation of finding, valuing and growing the best people. Even more of the best people will seek us out as a great place to work. All of our people progress and grow in their careers. We're recognised as an inclusive and diverse workplace, and there is a place for everyone, and everyone feels welcome and valued. Just a little bit on inclusion and diversity. So inclusion and diversity, along with hardest, is at the core of everything we do at Accor. So these are just our 4 pillars of inclusion and diversity: gender and orientation equality, women at Accor, generation LGBTIQ, and there's probably a few more letters on that now these days. Multicultural, including Indigenous Australians. We have a really strong Indigenous employee program. Accessibility and ability, mental health, career carers, flexibility and disability, and cross-generational, so generations X, Y, Z through to seniors and mature workers through to baby boomers, encompassing all of them. It's very much, I think, a key to a successful team, a successful hotel is having that diverse, that great mixture and great level of diversity. And our goals for inclusion and diversity are to have 50% female general managers by 2020. I'm not sure what that looks like now because, in case you haven't heard, the year 2020 has been a bit of a funny year, but we're certainly working every day to achieve that. And I do know that out of the 3 hotels that I manage, all 3 of my general managers are female, which I think is just fantastic. We aim to increase the Indigenous leadership at HOD level and above, HOD meaning head of department or leadership management roles. Culturally, generationally and linguistically diverse team members at all levels, which I think we achieve that. We have that already. We do that really well. Flexible, accessible roles and supportive working arrangements for all, particularly for university students. A large portion of our casual workforce are university students that working in hospitality just really suits. You know, they can earn some extra money and some skills while still completing their studies as well. And all hotels working with their local job networks to support access to work for people of all abilities and backgrounds as well. And we also have the Accor Hotels Community Fund. So all countries in the Accor network have their own community fund, which is basically just a fundraising platform where we partner with a range of charities. So for Australia, we have the Kokoda Youth Foundation, Lifeline, the Garvin Institute, the Australian Childhood Foundation, and AIM, which is an Indigenous based educational charity. And throughout the year, we hold so many charity events and fundraising events to raise funds. We have trivia nights and competitions, the national dessert promotion. So all of the hotels throughout the country will have at least one dessert on their menu that the proceeds will go towards the community fund. National Fundraising Day, branded merchandise sales, and Race to Survive, which is every couple of years they send people up to Brisbane to do a big hiking through the wilderness, Tough Mudder type of event. I've never done it myself. I've only contributed to the fundraising, but it's a really great event. And since 2016, we've raised over $1 million, which is fantastic. And of course we have, this is probably one of my favourites that I'm very passionate about. We've got what we call Planet 21, which we introduced in 2016, which is part of our corporate responsibility program for sustainability, which I think is extremely important, and especially in the hospitality industry, if not all industries. And we have dedicated departments and dedicated professionals who work towards programs for sustainability and making sure that we are implementing those in all of our hotels worldwide. We do a lot of reporting on it to make sure that we're meeting those targets, and just striving for an energy efficient, zero waste, zero food waste, sustainable businesses as much as we can. Okay, so the perks of working in hospitality, and particularly at Accor. So we do recognise that a happy team translates to happy guests, which is why we have a wide range of different benefits for our team members. So just as we value our loyal customers, we recognise that our loyal team members should also be rewarded. So we have things like flexible working arrangements, particularly in this kind of environment. It's been necessary, so it's something I think that's more and more common and easy to adapt to. We have the Academy Accor, which is our learning and development platform that all team members gain access to once they become employed. We have hotel and dining discounts worldwide, so that's discounts on accommodation and food and beverage for all Accor hotels throughout the world. So you get a special little card and an app on your phone and go and book a hotel in France, and chances are you'll get a really good discount. Counselling, confidential and complementary counselling services and wellbeing and support. We use an app and a platform for our EAP, Employee Assistance Program. And we do service recognition and rewards for when people reach certain tenures as well. So just briefly on Academy Accor, which is our online learning and development platform. At Accor Hotels Academy, our aim is to transform people and businesses by creating learning pathways for everyone. These pathways are designed around our learning and development strategy, which captures how the Academy will develop the skills of our people in preparation for current roles as well as career development. So basically it's you receive a login to the online portal, and they have a wide range of learning and development programs from a lot of the, not a lot of them, but some of them are compliance related. So your OH&S and your inductions and any new policies that come out is all delivered through the platform, along with self-paced learning. So team members can jump on and just browse their learning catalogue and assign training to themselves, whether it's just a quick half-an-hour session on emotional intelligence or complaint handling, through to virtual training sessions, similar to how we're running today with a trained professional delivering a topic, and the students all log in and attend, through to live training courses that might go anywhere from an hour to a full week-long development course, through to programs that might go on for 2 years for people who are developing in their careers. So there's a lot of content on there, but it's a great platform to have. So learning pathways. So this, I guess, is just a little snapshot of the different levels that you can achieve working in hospitality. So future leaders, that's how we refer to probably our line level team members who are just starting out, our entry levels, through to emerging leaders, professional leaders, executive leaders, strategic leaders, inspiring leaders, and beyond. And the matrix there, I'm not sure if you can see it, it's a little bit small, but it just sort of outlines, where you're starting as a future leader. For onboarding, you must complete HEARTIST. and then you must complete brand-specific training depending on the hotel that you're working in. So if you're working in an M Gallery, which is a boutique hotel, they have very specific brand standards that will be quite different to if you're working in an IBIS. So that's all part of the onboarding experience. Then progressing on to your career path as a future leader, you might do the guest interaction series, the upselling series, etc. And I haven't updated it, but it's got exciting new programs in 2019, which hopefully they're out there. And then so on and so forth. So for emerging leaders, again, they all need to do HARTIS. Then they might do tools for new supervisors for their career path, the Emerging Leaders Program and the Future Leaders Program, and so on.
Sally, we've just had a couple of questions come through. Are you okay to take a break from the presentation and have a drink of water while I speak for a moment? So somebody has asked, how common is it for somebody to start at that entry-level job in hospitality or hotels and move into those executive type of positions?
It's very common. I would argue that every single general manager within Accor started out as a food and beverage attendant or a kitchen hand or a housekeeping attendant. Especially working in the hospitality industry, if you're going to be the general manager of a hotel, you need to know the ins and outs of how your departments operate from entry level through to general management level. So it's very common, and this is why we have these learning pathways and training and development systems is because that, you know, you wouldn't get someone coming in as a general manager or a head of department who'd never worked in a hotel before.
Yeah, and that's what it sounds like. You're really supporting staff to build and grow and become more experienced and get lots of professional growth. Yeah, that's great.
Absolutely. Even through to our finance teams, that they don't necessarily have to have been a food and beverage attendant or a front office reception, but most of them are, and that's how they get the opportunities, because they are in the business already. Then they find out about the career pathways and the jobs that might be available, and they go through it that way.
Yeah, fab. And we've had another question regarding COVID. So have you got an idea of whether there will be a downturn from COVID-19 of positions offered within the industry? And if so, any idea on how long this downturn will last?
Good question. That's been my whole year. Yeah, certainly there has been a downturn, and that's because we haven't had any guests. And in order to run a hotel, you need guests. So it's been really, really challenging, and hospitality certainly has been one of the hardest hit industries throughout 2020. A lot of our workforce is casual, just through the sheer nature of shift work, and unfortunately a lot of people have been stood down, and nobody's lost their job, but they've all gone on to gain employment elsewhere because people need to earn a living. We have a lot of internal processes and programs in place to support the staff. So obviously JobKeeper has helped a lot, keep people in their jobs and earn money while they're stood down or not allowed to come into work. We have what is called the All HARTIST Fund. So that's a multi-million-dollar fund that was set up in head office Paris to just help people, some of our team members in need, that maybe casual team members that were not eligible for JobKeeper, that were struggling. We could apply on their behalf, and they would receive a certain amount of funds just to help them through that. With the lift of restrictions, happily we're already seeing a lot of bookings come through. At one of my hotels this week, we went from having one person staying in the hotel to 89 rooms taken just in a matter of a few days. So we're seeing that upturn is happening quite quickly because people are free now, they can travel now, they want to stay in a hotel and get out of their house. I know I do. So the recovery will still be slow, and there's definitely still been that downturn, which it's hard to say how long that's going to recover, but it is happening. last week alone, I was calling back a lot of my team members to say, hey, we're opening up the kitchen in the restaurant, at least just for breakfast, come back.
Yeah, it will. And I think that's the message that we need to give to our students working in the careers field, is that it will bounce back and there will be jobs, and we've got to be positive about what's ahead, and students should keep studying, keep, undertaking part-time work if they've got it, or work experience, and doing those things to help them prepare and be ready for when the economy does bounce back. Yeah,
that's right. And it's funny because working in hospitality, there's a saying that as long as you're working in hospitality, you'll always have a job, no matter all over the world. And then COVID hit, and everyone was thinking, oh my goodness, hospitality is one of the hardest hitting industries. But it's still true, because hotels and hospitality is always going to be there. People are always going to want to travel or go and have dinner at a restaurant or have a conference somewhere or get married somewhere. That is never going to stop. So you will always have a job in hospitality.
Yeah, great. All right, well, thank you. We'll keep going ahead. Thank you.
Yes. So just a further elaboration on how our capability framework works. Apologies if this is a little bit small, but I guess this is just a set of detailed descriptions of the key observable behaviours which are valued at each level within an organisation, which are aligned to the strategic direction of the organisation. So I guess what that's saying is everybody starts off as a future leader, which is our entry-level, line-level staff, and to be able to progress to emerging professional, executive, all the way up to visionary leaders, you need to achieve each one of these observable behaviours before you can move on to the next. So as a future leader, if you're coming in as a hotel receptionist, you need to be open-minded, guest-centric, self-confidence, etc. If you're an emerging leader or wanting to progress to an emerging leader, you need to have everything that's in the yellow boxes as well as the ones in the brown boxes. So positive orientation, again, guest-centric, empowering a team, leading a team, etc. Then so on. If you're moving into professional leaders level, you need to have everything that's in the yellow boxes as well as the brown boxes, and now the grey boxes, so on and so forth. So the visionary leaders would be our really top, Simon McGrath is the boss of all of Accor for Asia Pacific. So he needs to have every single one of those colours and boxes, for example. And just to give you a quick idea of some of the roles that would fall under those capability frameworks. So future leaders would be our hotel receptionists, our food and beverage attendants, the housekeeping room attendants, our maintenance handy person. Emerging leaders would be moving up to supervisory level, so the assistant managers, a food and beverage supervisor, housekeeping supervisor, a chef de partie. Professional leaders, you would have your front office manager, any head of department level, so learning and development manager, sales managers, housekeeping manager, etc. Executive leaders are director of revenue, director of finance, talent and culture managers, room division managers. Strategic leaders would be regional or cluster managers. So those are, a cluster GM or a regional GM would be a general manager who looks after not just one hotel, but a cluster of them. Same thing with a director of finance or a director of T&C. Inspiring leaders are, again, those general managers or combination hotels, but on a larger scale. So they might be looking after an entire state or maybe even 2 or 3 states. And then, as I said before, visionary leaders are the Simon McGraths of the world. So I guess this is just a quick snapshot of some of the typical departments and roles within a hotel. It's some of the main ones, but certainly not all roles that are within a hotel. And again, not all of these roles would be in one hotel. So it really depends on if you've got a hotel that's got 500 rooms, 3 restaurants and a few bars. and a large conferencing and event centre, then you might have all or most of these roles. If you have a small 80-room property with no restaurant, you wouldn't have this level of staff as well. But we've got our front office department, which is obviously the reception, and the roles under that department would be a porter or concierge, a guest service agent, which is what we call the hotel reception, a front office team leader, an assistant or duty manager, a front office manager, and then we have the reservations department. So those who are taking the bookings for the hotel basically, and reservation agent, reservation supervisor, reservation manager. Then we have the food and beverage departments. And we call it food and beverage because it's not just restaurants and bars, it's also conferencing and catering and events and room service. So we have a food and beverage attendant, who are typically the waiters, a food and beverage team leader, food and beverage supervisor, food and beverage manager, and then a director of food and beverage. Housekeeping, similar structure. You've got the room attendants, a housekeeping supervisor, manager, and then executive housekeeper. In the kitchens, we would have the kitchen attendant, cooks. Then we have our chefs, who are the qualified chefs, ranging from an apprentice, commis chef, demi-chef, chef, sous chef, etc., head chef and executive chef. We have maintenance departments, so obviously we need a department to keep the hotel running and everything in top shape. So we have our maintenance assistant or handy person, a maintenance supervisor, manager, and a chief engineer, depending on the size of the hotel. And then these, I guess, are some of our what we call support departments. So not so much operational, but we've got sales and marketing. So we could have a director of sales and marketing, a director of revenue, a revenue manager, marketing manager, sales manager, sales assistants, BDMs or business development managers, marketing assistants, talent and culture, so human resources, there's director of talent and culture managers, advisors and assistants. One department I forgot to put in there, one very important department, is the finance team, of course, and you've got your financial controllers, your accountants, finance administrators, and etc. And then there's the executive or management roles, ranging from a regional general manager, a hotel general manager, an operations manager, executive assistant manager, hotel manager, rooms division manager. But like I said, there are many more variations of those roles. These are some, these are some videos that probably won't work, I think, Jen.
Yeah, we streaming them via the platform today. The quality's not that great. So what we're going to do is give you the links to these YouTube clips in the chat box, and then you can go away and have a look at them in your own time and perhaps share them with students in your classes back at school. They're really, I've watched them, and they're really great insight into people working within Accor Hotels, in job, what it's like on an everyday basis. So I'd really suggest that you take the time to look at them and share them with students. Sorry, we can't share them via the stream today, but take a look in your own time.
They're only short, under 2-minute videos, but as Jen said, they're actual team members within Accor, and it's just a quick snapshot of what does it look like working in the restaurant or in the sales team, for example. Okay, so here we have just a quick snapshot or spotlight of some typical and some of the more common roles within a hotel and what that would look like. So we have our guest service agents or hotel reception in the front office department. The typical shifts would be from the early shift from 7 a.m. till 3 p.m, or the evening shift from 3 p.m. till 11 p.m, or the overnight shift or the graveyard shift, 11 p.m. till 7 a.m. However, a GSA or a guest service agent wouldn't typically work the overnight shift. Most hotels would have a dedicated night team, the night manager and the night order team, that would work those shifts, only those shifts. So it would only be if someone called in sick and we just needed coverage that a GSA might need to work them. But really it's 7 till 3, 3 till 11. The pay rates, these are all set by the Hospitality Industry General Awards. So they do go up every July. So I think it's probably a little bit more than this now, but it's approximately $21 per hour, Monday through to Friday as a base rate. If you're working on a Saturday, it's about $26 per hour. A Sunday is $31, and then there's the much coveted public holiday rates of about $46 per hour base rate. Similar for the food and beverage attendants in the food and beverage department. You're working usually 7 to 3, 3 to 11, but that just depends on if your hotel restaurant opens for breakfast at 7, then you might need to get there at 6 to open the doors, turn the lights on, get the cutlery ready and set everything up while the chefs are busy cooking all the delicious food items. And the pay rates are slightly similar to the GSA rates. Then we have our annualised salary roles. So the assistant or duty manager who runs the front office, same shifts as the GSA really, and their pay rate is just a little bit over $62,000 per annum. A head chef in the kitchen department, typically the same shifts, but if you're the head chef, you set your own shifts really. And the pay rates for a small single restaurant hotel with small to medium conferencing would be starting at about 65 to 70 per year, and then of course that goes up depending on the scale of the operation. If you've got more restaurants or a bigger restaurant, the compensation is more. A business development manager or BDM in the sales department would typically work a Monday to Friday, and their pay rate would be anywhere from 60 to 65,000 per year, plus commissions. Sometimes, just depending on the hotel, there might be commission or an annual bonus if you've achieved your sales targets. And then, of course, your general managers who typically work Monday to Friday, but they're on call all the time because it's their hotel. And for a small hotel with no food and beverage or conferencing, you're probably starting at about $85K. And then, of course, that increases as your operation scale does. And here I've just put a few career journey spotlights just to give you an example, and I kind of answered, that was one of the questions earlier in terms of a career pathway. These are two of my colleagues who I work with. So Annabelle Gibney is currently the General Manager at the Johnson in Queensland. She started her hospitality career as a food and beverage attendant at a local Italian restaurant and a bakery while she was in high school. Then as a food and beverage attendant at a Mexican restaurant whilst at uni. Then she commenced a graduate management traineeship, which is one of the development programs Accor offers, working across food and beverage, front office, reservations and concierge to gain experience in multiple departments. Then she secured a role as a reservations coordinator at the Pullman Melbourne. Then she commenced another Accor development program called the AELP, which is a 2-year program that teaches the trainees management skills and then ultimately ends up in a managerial position. While she was doing that, she had a placement as a digital commerce and marketing coordinator in the Victorian head office. And then she secured a placement as the food and beverage manager, opening up a new restaurant at the Ibis Styles in Hobart in Tasmania, which was very successful and ultimately led to her gaining her first executive level position as the operations manager at My Ibis in Melbourne, which she did for about 18 months before she moved on to become the general manager of the Johnson in Queensland, which is where she is now. And the studying and training that she did along the way, other than the core programs, were a Bachelor of Science majoring in psychology, followed by her Masters of Science in Management. And a lot of her case studies and theses were based around the hospitality industry. Then we had Adam Duca, who was the food and beverage manager at the Como, Melbourne. He started his hospitality career as a runner, busboy at DiCaprio restaurant. Then he became a waiter at the same restaurant. Then he became a shift manager at the same restaurant. Then he became a food and beverage attendant at the Hilton in Melbourne before he moved on to the Accor properties, starting at the Pullman Melbourne, then progressed to food and beverage team leader at the same hotel, food and beverage supervisor, then bar supervisor at Cliveden and Dining, and now he is the food and beverage manager at one of my other hotels, the Como Melbourne. And some of the studying and training he did was his Cert 3 and 4 in hospitality tourism, Bachelor of Business Management, and he is one of our APL accepted into the Accor Professional Leaders Program, which is currently ongoing, and we'll probably see him through to his next role, whatever that will be. And yeah, I guess this is just a quick snapshot of some of the courses that the students could consider when pursuing a career in hospitality. I guess, as we talked about earlier, the beauty of hospitality is that as a starting point, you don't really need to have a specific certification or diploma or degree to get into hospitality. You can start as a food and beverage attendant or a GSA whilst you're at university getting that degree. And then it turns into whatever you really want it to turn into. Some of the short courses are RSA, or Responsible Service of Alcohol. That is a required course for anyone working where the service of alcohol is involved, so usually the food and beverage departments. First aid and CPR is always really handy to have, though it's not a requirement. Then you've got your TAFE courses and diplomas, so Certificate 3 and 4 in commercial cookery. Anyone who's wanting to become a career chef will need to have these certificates. So that starts from your commis chef through to demi chef, chef de partie, sous chef, and all the other various ones in between. You can certainly do an apprenticeship and work in a hotel whilst you're getting that certificate in commercial cookery. And then you have your advanced diplomas of hospitality management, diploma of hospitality management, and sometimes our maintenance team members might have a trade. It's not a requirement, but it just comes along with the job title and certainly comes in handy. And then you've got your postgraduates and your bachelor degrees in tourism destination management, which a lot of our senior managers would eventually achieve whilst they were already working in hospitality, just to get them to that next senior level. And then some of the other non-hospitality specific courses would be anything in human resources management, accounting, finance, CPA, marketing and communications, digital marketing, and social media marketing. So yeah, there's a variety of courses that they could consider. But like I said, the beauty of working in hospitality is that you can do these courses or any other course while you're already working in the business. So that's it from me. So thank you. I hope I didn't talk too fast, but yeah, it's been great just to be able to present this information to educators and ultimately to the students. And part of my job is to recruit and retain good talent, so it helps me out as well.
Thank you, Sally. That was so great, really insightful. And I think one of the things I've taken away is that the Accor group is very nurturing. So nurturing new staff, which I think is very important when we're encouraging young people to go and look for work, and where we might recommend people go and apply for a job. If we know that, you know, your hotels are looking after those young people and helping them grow professionally, but also supporting them in other ways, that's really, really great.
Absolutely.
I had a question about work experience. Do you, obviously in non-COVID times, do you take young people for work experience placements?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we certainly have in the past. I think the best way to get that to happen is to, like you, Jen, would contact me, for example. I think sometimes we get, when it's work experience time of the year, we get so many emails that come in to say the reservation inbox, and it just might go unnoticed because it's not a booking.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely, and it's quite easy to organise in hotels because they could just do a day in each department, and it's a really good way for them to figure out which department they like best.
Yeah, great, awesome, and that's a really good tip as maybe as a careers practitioner in a school. If you pick up the phone or drop an email, you might find something for one of your students who really is passionate about the industry or wants to learn about it, or you see a connection. Because I guess You spoke about students with an interest in hospitality, maybe doing a vet certificate in hospitality, or there's also those natural communicators, those people who want to be around others, and students that are, you know, even mathematically minded in accounting and finance, and the graphic designers. There's a whole wide range of different opportunities for them. So thank you so much for covering off all of that information. It was really useful, and hopefully the practitioners in the room can take that away when they're working with young people or clients. So I've just got something to whiz through very quickly before I hand over to Steph. And as I said, it's an accompaniment to the presentation from Sally this afternoon, and it's the online resources that we've developed. So these resources are available via our website for download for free for students to use in classrooms, and career practitioners or teachers of certain subjects can deliver these. So these resources include a number of video links of interviews with people working in the industry. So like the links that we shared earlier that Sally has kindly shared with us of Accor employees, there's a range of interviews with people in other areas of the visitor economy industry. So we've got people working at, I think one of them is like a Phillip Island National Park. We've got a sous chef, people working at a caravan park, so a whole range of visitor economy type jobs. And the beauty of these resources is that students are encouraged to complete short questions after watching the video, and they can type these answers directly into the PDF, and then they can save them and send them to you or the teacher for a review, or save them into their electronic career portfolios to access later on. There's also a couple of short activities to encourage students to think about work experience. What are some places in our local community or within your area that, you know, as a student you'd like to approach and ask about work experience? We've also got an activity where students are encouraged to review Job Outlook and learn about that really, really useful website, which I'm sure we're all using all the time with students. And if we're not, maybe it's something you could have a look at and encourage students to explore, because it has lots of valuable information. There's also, for each growth industry area, there are links to vet courses. So those TAFE courses that students can enroll in, and these tables you just click directly on the live links and it will take you to information about those different courses. So it's all there right at your fingertips for you and for the students, and if they want to take that home and talk to someone at home about what they're learning, they can show whomever it is at home and have a discussion with somebody there as well. There's also interviews with vet students who are currently completing vet certificates. So we all know that young people like to hear from other young people about why a vet study is beneficial and why they should do it in the future. There's a handy little pathways planner, and this is really useful if you are working with any person interested in learning more about career planning. And you can, again, you can either print that off or use that in the classroom, or students can have access electronically. Now, there are 11 growth industry areas, as I said before, and we have a booklet for each area. Each booklet has about probably 10 to 15 links to interview clips and activities. They're about 20 to 24 pages long. You don't obviously have to do them all in one go, but they are a really, really, really useful resource that I encourage you to use with students. So now I'm going to actually hand over to Steph Doyle. We've only got a couple of minutes left. So Steph's going to chat to you briefly about the My Career Portfolio and how you can incorporate that into your career planning at school. Thanks, Steph.
Thanks, Jen, and good afternoon, everyone. So as Jen mentioned, I'm just going to give you just a really quick overview of the My Career Portfolio resource. Firstly, just to flag that it is a resource that's available only for government school students and available for years 7 to 12. So basically, it's an online platform that we've developed to support students to navigate and track their career education journey. And it's got, I guess, 3 core components in terms of the benefits that it offers for students. The first one being that it provides an online career action plan. There's a template for each year level, 7 to 12. It also provides a location where students can store all the files and links that they collate throughout their career exploration. So we encourage students to upload things in there like, references from employers, examples of awards or achievements that they collate throughout the years at school, examples of their schoolwork, and the students who've participated in Year 9 in our My Career Insights initiative, the Moresby report that they get from that process, My Career Portfolio was the perfect place for them to keep a copy of that. So we really encourage all students to do that. We also provide a number of resources and links and things that they can use to support their course and career exploration. So we link to resources like My Future, Job Outlook, TAFE and Uni websites. It's just a nice little one-stop shop for them to come in and access all those kind of resources. Thanks, Jen. Next one. So in terms of the industry immersion resources that Jen covered a moment ago, as I mentioned, My Career Portfolio has this file storage capacity, so it's a really great accompanying resource if you're running a lesson and looking at these CEAV resources. Perfect place for them once they've completed their workbooks to come and store a copy of those so they've got them to refer back to as part of their next steps in their career exploration. So it's a great resource for them to use for that purpose. It's also great to make a connection between the completion of these workbooks and their career action plans as well. So the career action plans include a number of questions related to work-related learning and encouraging students to reflect on their experiences in those activities. So again, once they've done something like one of these workbooks, or perhaps, watch videos, for example, like the ones that Sally's mentioned today, highlighting case studies of people who work in a particular industry, ask students to reflect on those and then think about how that might inform how they respond to the questions in their career action plan. So there's a nice link there between the two as well. Thanks, Jen. Next one. So just to finish off, so as I mentioned, it's a resource available for government school students and also careers practitioners in schools as well. In terms of if you're not a school currently using it but thinking of using My Career Portfolio, just to flag that your students will need an active EduPass account in order to be able to access the system, and careers practitioners will need to request access as well. In terms of the career practitioner access, it's a very easy process to set up. You just need to get in touch with us in the career education unit, just on that web email address at the bottom of the slide there. In terms of EduPass for students, we do have a number of resources available on the department's website, just at that link there in the middle, to guide you through that process as well. But if you have any questions at any point, any issues, please just get in touch with us. We'll be more than happy to help. Thanks, Jen.
Thanks so much, Steph. And yeah, it is a really, really good way to combine your career activities at school and making sure students are saving these things that you're doing, these really valuable activities you're doing with them, into the My Career Portfolio or the other e-portfolios that you're using back in the classroom. So that brings us to the end of our session for today. I'd really like to thank Sally for her time, and this is just a chance to remind practitioners in the room that we do have a student session with Sally tomorrow at 11 a.m. So if Dave and Amelia could pop the link to register in the chat box, you are able to register via this link. It is not too late. If you are thinking, even if there's a student who's doing VCAL and you think, oh, they might be interested in listening to this session tomorrow, send them the link and they can log in. We also have a session next week regarding careers in the construction technology industry, and guest presenters from Metro Tunnel will be presenting. So we're also going to pop a link in the chat box to get us your feedback, so a short little survey. It'll only take 30 seconds at the most, so if you could complete that, that would be great. And again, I'd just like to say a special thank you to Sally for her presentation this afternoon and shedding light on all those fantastic opportunities within the hotel and hospitality industry, and particularly at Accor. And thanks to Steph for sharing the information about my career portfolio. Thanks also to Dave and Amelia for support today at the back end there. And thanks to everybody else for tuning in. And we hope that you will be able to join us for one of our other student webinars. And like I mentioned earlier, all our suite of recordings are saved on our website. So if there's a session you've missed, you can have a look, or your students can look back and watch one of the recordings of one of these webinars and get lots of information about different growth industry areas and learn about different jobs and occupations.